Welcome to Spice It Up, the series where we take one type of dish and make it spicy. Here's how it works. One dish, 3 videos. Part 1 has 3 fast and easy recipes. Part 2 showcases 2 recipes that require a bit more time and dedication. And lastly, Part 3, the ultimate Spicy Boys version. More prep, more love, more delicious. That's all there is to it. Now let's spice it up.
Yo, welcome to Spice It Up. My name is Dan.
My name is Simon.
And today we're going for cheap and fast, and we're going to tackle instant noodles.
That's right. Everybody here loves instant noodles, especially us spicy boys. So today we're going to show you 3 ways how you can spice up your instant noodles at home with minimum time and minimum cost.
So make sure to watch till the end because we got some exciting recipes for you, and I hope you enjoy them as much as we do.
Also, we're pretty new to this whole YouTube thing, so if you like our content, give us a like, comment what you think, and hit that subscribe button. Anyway, let's get started.
Let's go.
First up, tonkotsu instant noodles. This one right here is my favorite instant noodle brand, Nissin, and the flavor, the best one in my opinion, black garlic tonkotsu flavor. I've eaten a lot of this stuff, so I've developed stuff that I want to add to these kind of instant noodles to make it taste better, to spice it up. And this recipe is a budget version of my version of how I spice up my instant noodles. So without further ado, let's spice it up. Alright, firstly, we're going to prep the meat for a ramen. I like to use luncheon meat or spam. You can also use corned beef or anything similar. It's a very likable and flavorful meat that fits really well with any instant noodles in my opinion. You can put as much as you want in your ramen, but I'm just going to put 2 slices in mine. Save the rest for another bowl of noodles or another dish. Next up, heat up a frying pan, and in the meantime, prep your egg. For instant noodles, I tend to make a thin egg pancake and chop it up. So we're going to season the egg with some salt, some black pepper, and a little garlic powder. Whisk it with chopsticks, because that's the Asian way, and set aside. The key is to utilize your time right, so while we're waiting on the pan, we can already start boiling our water for the noodles, as well as get the noodles ready. I already chopped up my spring onions, but you can do that whilst the meat is frying or the noodles is boiling. Last bit of prep, get some bean sprouts ready, we'll use that later. Once your pan is hot, we can fry our meat, so oil in and meat in. And just let it work its magic for a few minutes as it crisps up the meat. Our water's boiling now, so we can get started on the noodles. Flip your slices of meat when they are crisp and just keep an eye on it. Once that's done, you can set them aside and make the egg in the same pan. There should be enough oil left over, so just simply put the egg in and let it fill your pan. Noodles are done now, so drain them and set aside. I forgot to blanch my bean sprouts, so I added some more water into my pot and let them blanch for a minute. Flip your egg when it's golden and just turn off the heat in a minute and just let it sit there. Now for the soup. If you're lazy, you can just put the packaged powder in the soup with the noodles, but I like to do it on its own. So add your water, but not too much so it's not bland, and just give it a mix, make sure it tastes nice. I spilled some because I'm clumsy. You don't have to do that, it's not recommended. Anyway, now we can plate the ramen, or I guess bowl our ramen. So put your noodles in your soup. Drain your blanched bean sprouts and put them in. Add your amazingly delicious slices of crispy meat and your freshly chopped spring onions. Chop your golden egg pancake and gently lay them on your noodles. Who would the Spicy Boys be if we didn't garnish it with some extra toppings, stuff that makes it even better? You're not truly Asian if you don't put this or just MSG in every dish you do. So what I like to do is always add just a teaspoon or so of laukama in your noodles. That's pretty. That's good. And of course, some sesame seeds. Just a drizzle sesame oil. Don't forget your little black garlic oil that they give you from the instant noodles. This adds flavor to the soup. Well, it looks nice now, but we're gonna mix it all up, so don't worry about it just being in this one little corner. Lastly, we're gonna add a little bit of nori. Nice and quick, just a little bit of nori. That's it. This is how I spice up my instant noodles, Spicy Boy style. But before we move on, let's quickly break down the costs. And there you have it, Simon's budget tonkotsu instant noodles recipe. Now on to our second recipe of the video. Take it away, Dan.
You just saw Simon's version. This one looks and tastes amazing, but now I'm gonna show you how I spice them. Alright guys, do you see this? Back in my student days, this is the closest I could get to a gourmet meal, alright? Okay, just kidding, but seriously, this recipe is great for improving your bowl instantly without much work, and it costs less than €1.5. Alright, so for this recipe, you'll need 1 pack of instant noodles. Doesn't really matter what kind. I'm using this onion flavored instant noodles because it's one of the cheapest and it still tastes really good in my opinion. We're going to make a Chinese style minced pork, and for that you'll need 200 grams pork mince, which is a bit much for one bowl of noodles, but the great thing about this mince is that you prep for a week, and then next time you make a bowl you can just pull it out the fridge, put it over your bowl. Save some time, you know. So you need 2 cloves of garlic, a bit of ginger, half a shallot or onion. And for the noodle soup, I'm not going to do anything fancy, I'm just going to use a bit of spring onions and an egg. Okay, so first we're going to boil some water for the noodles, and while this boiling, we can already start to prep the ingredients we'll need for the minced pork. So for this step we're going to pre-salt the meat and mix that well so the flavor will be evenly distributed. We also want to get rid of the skin of the garlic, the shallot and the ginger. You can use a spoon for the ginger. Then we're going to take the cloves of garlic, the ginger, the shallot and put it in the food processor and blend them in small pieces. If you don't have a food processor, you can also just chop them finely. Once you finish blending it or chopping it, you're going to warm it up in a pan or wok, add a bit of oil, let it heat up a bit and then you can add your blend. You want to let that sizzle a bit. Alright, so once you see it's almost going to brown, that's when you want to add your minced meat. You have to be quick and break it apart since we don't want them to be big chunks. The smaller pieces, the more flavor, and that's what we want. Now add about half a tablespoon of soy sauce, half a tablespoon dark soy sauce, a bit of chili flakes, and a pinch of sugar. Make sure to mix that well, and then the last thing we'll add is 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce. Let this cook on medium heat until most of the liquid is gone, and once that's done, put that aside. Alright, so with the instant noodles, just cook it how you normally would cook it. So add the boiling water in the pot and let that cook, and meanwhile we can also make the soup. I'm also going to cook a fried egg real quick, because I gotta get the gains, you know. We add the bean sprouts in the pot when the noodles are almost done to quickly blanch them, and once that's done, it's time to set it all up. Noodles in a bowl, add the pork mince, some spring onions, can't forget about that, add the egg on top, and damn, there you have it. Easy way to spice up your noodles. Now that I'm done, Simon's going to show you another recipe. This one is going to be really good guys, so don't skip it. And as for the cost, we used around.
Alright, so for our last instant noodles recipe of the video, we're gonna scrap the soup and make a simple yet delicious Japanese chicken yakisoba. Since this is an instant noodles dish, I'm going to be using these €1 a pack wok noodles. Additionally, we're going to need 3 chicken thighs sliced, a quarter of a small to medium head of cabbage, 1/2 of a carrot, and 1 small onion, which you can only see if you squint hard enough. As for the sauce, we're going to come back to that later. First thing you want to do is to get your chicken cooked and set aside. Heat up your favorite wok, pour in some cooking oil of your choice, and once it gets heated you can move on to the thighs. Make sure to spread them out and just let your wok do the work. As you let them sear in the wok, you can give them a quick season with some salt and pepper. Give it a quick stir and let them cook as you prep the veggies. Peel your carrot and chop it in half. Since we're only using half, you can store the rest away for another dish. Stir your chicken briefly. You can let it sear more, but I wanted my chicken to be juicy, so I decided it's fine, especially since we're going to add them back later. Next up, cabbage. Cut it in half and then once more. Put away the rest. Remove the big stem in the middle and thin out the stems on the leaf. It's a little tedious, but it'll give the dish a better texture. Now line up the leaves and shred them as thin as you like. If you're not too confident in your knife skills or want to save some time, you can buy pre-shredded coleslaw mix to get shredded cabbage and carrots. However, we don't recommend that because not only does it cost more overall, but also because it's better to practice your knife skills. Anyway, once everything is prepped, we can start stir frying our veggies. So get your wok hot and oily again. I just used the oil that's set to the bottom of the bowl of the cooked chicken. Throw the onions in first to deglaze the wok slightly. Then add the carrots and cabbage and stir fry for a minute. The key is to leave the flame on high and let the veggies caramelize and get charred a bit, like a hot grill. So don't stir all the time, but make sure it doesn't burn. In the meantime, we can get the noodles ready. For this recipe we're going to be using 2 blocks of the noodles, so technically this dish serves 2 to 3 people. You want to make sure not to cook the noodles completely, so just boil them for a minute to soften them up. Drain them and give them a cold rinse to stop the cooking process. Give the veggies a quick stir and then we can finally move on to the yakisoba sauce. I'm using 1.5 tablespoon of ketchup, 1 tablespoon sugar, half a teaspoon white pepper, 1 tablespoon light soy sauce, 1 tablespoon mirin, and finally 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire sauce. You know what? Never mind. Just give it a mix and move on. Now it's finally time to put everything together. First the chicken, then the noodles, and then the sauce. Stir fry for a few minutes, making sure it's all mixed up evenly and that the sauce coats everything. Give your noodles a taste to see if it needs some salt and pepper. Lastly, add your spring onions and some toasted sesame seeds and give it one last mix. Then it's ready for plating. So get a nice portion of noodles on a plate. Make sure to get some chicken, because chicken is good. Now for the garnish. All these are just personal preferences of mine, so don't add them if you don't like them. Sprinkle some bonito flakes, some Korean chili flakes, and lastly, some bits of nori. And there you have it. Chicken yakisoba made with instant noodles, spicy Bois style. Now let's break down the cost real quick. And that's it, all done.
That concludes today's episode of Spiced Up. Let us know which version you like the most. Also send us a photo on Instagram, we'll actually check it since we only have like 10 subs. Also, if you have other ideas, let us know down in the comments. So we got a lot of spicy content coming up, so make sure to keep your eyes peeled and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like and subscribe, please, we're desperate. And we'll see you guys next time. Keep it spicy.